Hello, everyone. Welcome to Small Talk. Well, joining me today is, let's see, Blanca Salvatierra,
Yes, yes.
and she's going to talk about the Association of Neighborhood Houses BC. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for having us here and inviting us to share about the Association of Neighborhood Houses. I also know that you want to learn about the Neighborhood Small Grants, which is one
Yes,
of the programs that we run.
yes. So, but before we get to that, I want to start about the overall, like it's not just grants that you do, right?
Yeah, well, the association does a lot other work for sure.
Okay, so tell me when it all began. Like, how did it start?
Well, the Association of Neighborhood Houses is one of the first, oldest, I will say, nonprofits in Vancouver, at least in the Lower Mainland. It is, I believe it was in 1898.
Oh,
It was created and it's a it's a collective, it's a large group in which there is about 11 different neighborhood houses who run in Metro Vancouver who are part of the association. We also in the last several years been connecting with other neighborhood houses across the province.
okay.
Yeah.
And so the grants are just one small part of it. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. The grant is only one small part. So the Association of Neighborhood Houses, I'm not sure if you ever heard about neighborhood houses before the association.
No, I
No?
haven't. No.
Yeah, so the history of the neighborhood houses is about, people coming together in the community and identifying that there is some needs or services that they would like to support community with. So the history of the neighborhood houses go back to a lot around childcare and homelessness in Metro Vancouver. So parents that were in need to have children taken care of while they were going to work, or people that were living on the streets that they needed to have their taxes done. So there is something called tax clinics that some neighborhood houses, especially in the core of Vancouver, is still run, and
Hmm.
is to make sure that everybody does their taxes because in the world that we live in, you have to do your taxes in order to qualify for some services like healthcare.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's one of the ways how some neighborhood houses started.
Okay.
Uh, but if you want to know more, like
Oh, yeah, tell me everything you can.
Okay, yeah. So that's how it started, right? The first neighborhood house in Metro is Alexandra Neighborhood House, which is in South Surrey. Originally, that neighborhood house used to be a home for children that had no parents.
Okay.
So that's how it started. And then from there, there is several of the neighborhood houses. There is in Mount Pleasant and Kitsilano and the Gordon Neighborhood House, which is on the west end. There is also other neighborhood houses which are not part of the association and in terms of the legal umbrella, but we all talk to each other, we all connect to each other, and we all have very similar goals in terms of providing services for everyone that lives in the community. So there is programs for the elderly, there is programs for youth, for children, for parents. Some of them have daycares. They have lunch programs and food security programs. They have community gardens. So pretty much it's a neighborhood house. So one of the ways to see of a neighborhood house is like a local living room, a place where everybody can go, everyone is welcome. And as far as I know, I will say all neighborhood houses very likely have a lobby. I'm connecting mostly to the ones in Metro Vancouver. I used to, before I worked with the Neighborhood Small Grants specifically, I used to work for one specific neighborhood house, which is Mount Pleasant Neighborhood House,
Okay.
which is right on East Vancouver. And so all neighborhood houses usually will have a living room space, kind of, and anybody could walk in, and if it, we are if they are safe, they feel safe, and then they could have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. Sometimes there might be some treats in there too. But the idea is to create a space in which everyone feels welcome and feels that there's something for them, or if not, maybe if not, I will say someone in the neighborhood house likely will listen and go like, that sounds like something that maybe we could do. And that's where it connects also with the neighborhood small grants in a way.
Okay. So
Yeah.
when did you first become involved?
I first began to work, well, I began to be involved with the neighborhood houses before I worked for the neighborhood houses. And I will say that must have been around 1997,
Okay.
1998, around there. And I used to live in the area close to Mount Pleasant, where Mount Pleasant neighborhood house is. And I had three young children back then. They were small. And I was looking for a place to take them for after school programming
Right.
because I had to work.
Right.
And so that's how I first began to get connected to Mount Pleasant and to Kiwasa. I'm just remembering you making me remember many things, you know. And I remember one was when it was in Kiwasa, it was around the food program. So they used to have a community kitchen, and I remember learning around canning and jarring food and cooking taking advantage of the summer where there is a lot of veggies that you could can. And I remember I think I was pregnant with my second son when I first came to get involved in the neighborhood houses as a participant, as a community person.
Right.
Later, I got engaged, more involved with Mount Pleasant because I moved to that area of the city. And it was around organizing with women, Latino American women to be specific at that point in my life.
Mhm.
And we were used to meet there and, try to figure out how to make the world a better place. I think that was our main mission, just to connect with other women that we could speak the same language and figured out ways of how we could collect, work together and, you know, get our kids to talk to each other, kind of
Right.
that kind of activity. That's how far back I really got involved
Right.
with neighborhood houses.
Okay, great. So how did the grants come into play?
Yeah, so in 1999, Vancouver Foundation, which is also the key funder at Neighborhood Small Grants, Vancouver Foundation together with about two other neighborhood houses and another organization, which I can't remember what it was. I wasn't involved then.
Right.
Kind of developed the idea of neighborhood small grants as a way to address uh, access to small pockets of funding to people who could then implement an idea.
Right.
It was, and it has had a huge potential now. I mean, I'm talking about 1999, and now we are in 2026. So it's about 27 years ago when it first started, and only in one area in Vancouver and East Van, and now it practically has grown to communities across the province. Thanks to the funding of Vancouver Foundation, for sure. As a funder, they've been totally significant and believing that this was a program that worked, that this was a program that not only supports individuals, but given the opportunity to develop skills around community organizing and sharing their skills, but also a way to grow community connection
Mhm.
and safety and health. All those things I think are part of neighborhood small grants.
Right.
So anywhere people are right now, if they're in BC,
Mhm.
there's very likely a way for them to connect to the neighborhood small grants program.
Well, what I specifically like about it is you don't have to be a nonprofit to benefit, right? You don't have to be raising funds for a particular association or whatever. So that really makes a difference for some of us.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, you touch on something really important. Neighborhood small grants is specifically for individuals and for neighbors. Does not um, funds any nonprofit. So if you're already a nonprofit, you don't qualify for neighborhood small grants.
Mhm.
But there is definitely in Vancouver Foundation, they might be able to qualify for other fundings that are designed for nonprofit
Right.
and organizations that are already instituted.
Yes.
Neighborhood small grants is only for individuals.
Which is really great. I mean, as you know, I do a cupcake festival once a year, And because we were not raising funds or a nonprofit, we did not qualify for any of the normal grants at all. So this is the
Yeah.
first time we've been able to get a grant. So I really appreciate about that. We were really excited about being able to get
Yeah.
that for us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I did read a bit about your project, so it sounds like a lot of fun
Yes.
and a way to bring people together and youth and probably, cross generations as well.
Mhm.
And I think that's a pretty unique opportunity. And again, that's Neighborhood Small Grants, it's practically, also there is a lot of trust and, and how the program is designed,
Right.
meaning we trust that the neighbor, the individual, has this incredible idea and this small amount of money, because that's what we call it, small,
Right. Right.
right? Is able to make some difference in the person that will do the program as the project as well as to the community, right? Like sometimes we just need a small pocket of money to make a huge impact.
Absolutely. Now, there's only certain times of the year that you can qualify for the grant. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. So the neighborhood small grants runs differently all across the province, so I can't tell you an exact date depending where people are, but usually it will open in the spring,
Mhm.
somewhere, I believe next year likely be March, sometime in March. And then it will run for about 6 weeks, a window of 6 weeks in which people can submit their project idea.
Right.
They could also visit the website. By the end of the year, we likely will have the dates of when the grants will be open in each of the different communities for next year.
Right.
And then they have that window of opportunity. Now, just so you know, the Association of Neighborhood Houses runs and supports the programming of the neighborhood small grants in Metro Vancouver, so in about 7, 8 cities in Metro Vancouver, as well as what we call the emerging communities, which is part of the program that you apply.
Right.
And the emerging communities is a program designed for communities that might not have yet a local nonprofit who might want to parent in a way and run the program, right? So this is very important because there are several other organizations like the Victoria Foundation
Mhm.
and the Clayacut Sound Foundation. They run the neighborhood small grants in the island.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah. And then there is also Abbotsford Community Center, I believe it is. They run the neighborhood small grants in Abbotsford, right? So
Mhm.
there is four regional, what we call regional leads. The
Mhm.
association is one of the regional leads who run Metro Vancouver as well as the Emerging Communities program. It's definitely the largest, just because Metro Vancouver is such a large amount of community people and communities in there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
What, because we're in the season, I just decided to think, I was just thinking about this, because we're in the season where there's a lot of forest fires. Is that something you get involved with as well?
Uh,
As in help
well,
people?
I will say the Vancouver Foundation does get involved because we work very closely with the Vancouver Foundation. So the Vancouver Foundation will get involved if they approached in terms of seeing how they could support
Right.
in those cases, all in a, there is no marketing information out there about it, but I'm sure that if there is a need, a community,
Mm.
I wouldn't be surprised that they step forward. In terms of the association, our key role right now as being outside Metro Vancouver is running the neighborhood small grants
Okay.
and supporting anything that emerges in Metro Vancouver as the association.
Okay.
That's kind of like our key role. So I will say not in a direct way, but in an indirect way, we definitely support. Something that we see, Nancy, is that there is quite a few community projects that are funded through the neighborhood small
Right.
and those.
Oh, unfortunately, you're cutting out. I'm losing your sound a little bit. Um, it just froze, and everything just froze for you, unfortunately. I'm not sure what we're supposed to do at this point. Can you talk? Are you back online?
Yes, I am seeing you here. Yes.
Okay, so because you froze for a little bit there, so we might have lost some
Yeah.
of your conversation. So how many people, I imagine there must be many that are involved in the organization itself? Would you know those figures?
With the association in Metro Vancouver for all the programs that run, there
Yeah.
is definitely close to 1,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very large organization. There is in the specific central office, there is at least 20 to 25 staff that works in some of the administrative pieces. Um, but there is so many people working, as I said, in the various programs with youth, with the elderly, even with employment. There is such a range, and I will really invite people to go to the website if they even more curious about the association.
Right.
So it's www.anhbc.org. There is also the Neighborhood Small Grants website, right? So it's www.neighborhoodsmallgrants.ca
Okay.
about the program, and that also be a great website to to check once in a while, to check for the dates,
Mhm.
to look for the communities that you might be, you know, that
Wanting to-
people might be living in and wanting to connect with. There is also emails to contact coordinators. So
Mhm.
there is many local coordinators as well in each of the communities. For us, because we are supporting the emerging communities, there is a list right now. There is myself, there is there's two other people that work in the team, um, because the communities are growing and the
Right.
demand for the neighborhood small grants is something that is growing. It seems like now we are passing that threshold of coming out of COVID in the last year and a half to 2 years. So we are seeing how people wants to connect and people are, reaching out more.
Right. Well, that's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah, I think it's really great. I think we've pretty much covered everything. I believe we did anyway, right? So
Yeah.
repeat those the websites again.
Yeah, so the ANHBC is www.anhbc.org, and the other one is www.neighborhoodsmallgrants.ca.
.ca. That's great. Well, thank
Yeah,
you very much, Blanca. I really appreciate you doing this with me. Just
yeah,
down,
you're welcome.
yeah, just down camera while I say goodbye to everybody. So thank you everybody for watching the show. And you've been listening to Blanca Salvatierra, sorry.
That's perfect.
And I'm going to include all the information that she has provided. So you can check it out. And thank you for watching the show, everybody. Take care and peace out. Thank you,
Thank
Blanca.
you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.